The rules of the air are laid down by the authority to facilitate the safe and expeditious conduct of flights under its jurisdiction. The rules of the air of the United Kingdom apply to all aircraft within the United Kingdom, including the neighbourhood of offshore installations where the low-flying rule, Rule 5, is concerned, and all United Kingdom registered aircraft, wherever they may be, providing the United Kingdom rules do not conflict with the rules of the state being overflown. Except for the purpose of taking off and landing at an aerodrome anywhere, an aircraft other than a helicopter must not fly over a congested area below a height that would allow it to land clear of the area and without danger to people or property if an engine fails, or less than 1,500 feet above the highest object within 600 metres, whichever is the higher. A congested area in relation to a city, town, or settlement means any area which is substantially used for residential, industrial, commercial, or recreational purposes. No aircraft may fly within 1,000 metres of an open-air gathering of more than 1,000 people, except with the permission of the authority, and in accordance with any conditions specified, and with the written consent of the organisers. Neither may the aircraft fly below a height that would enable it to land clear of the assembly if an engine failed. An aircraft must not fly closer than 500 feet to any person, vessel, vehicle, or structure. When simulated instrument flying is taking place, that is, a pilot is flying the aircraft with his external field of view artificially restricted, the aircraft must have dual controls, and a safety pilot must be present in a control seat. A student pilot does not qualify for this assistant role. A safety pilot need not hold the applicable type or class rating. If necessary, a third person is to be carried as a competent observer to ensure an adequate lookout. A pilot practicing instrument approaches in visual meteorological conditions, VMC, must tell the air traffic control unit and carry a competent observer. If simulated instrument flying is taking place at the same time, then the aircraft must have dual controls and a safety pilot must be present in a control seat. A student pilot does not qualify for this assistant role. If necessary, a third person is to be carried as a competent observer to ensure an adequate lookout. It is accepted practice to illuminate the aircraft landing lights during instrument approaches to warn other aircraft flying in VMC. Aircraft must display such lights as are specified for their particular category. These lighting requirements generally apply also when the aircraft is moving on the ground and when it is stationary on the ground in a specified area. No other lights may be displayed that might impair the effectiveness of the required lights. An aircraft must not depart unless all of the lights required to be displayed are serviceable. On flying machines and airships, the green and red lights show through 110 degrees from dead ahead, green on the starboard side, and red on the port side. The white tail light shows through 70 degrees either side of dead astern. In addition, an airship has a white light that shows through 110 degrees of dead ahead, an arc of 220 degrees. An anti-collision light, where carried on an aircraft, is a flashing light showing in all directions, red in the case of a rotorcraft, and red or white in relation to any other aircraft. Navigation lights should not be visible, as far as is practical, outside the prescribed arcs. The following lights, required to be shown by an aircraft, are to be illuminated from sunset to sunrise, or during any other period specified by the authority. Anti-collision lights intended to attract attention to the aircraft. Navigation lights intended to indicate the relative path of the aircraft to an observer. No other lights shall be displayed if they are likely to be mistaken for these lights. All aircraft on the movement area of an aerodrome are to display lights that indicate the extremities of their structure, unless stationary and otherwise illuminated. Aircraft with engines running are to display lights to indicate that fact. The red anti-collision light is considered adequate for this purpose. A pilot is permitted to switch off or reduce the intensity of any flashing lights if they are likely to adversely affect the satisfactory performance of duties or subject an outside observer to harmful dazzle. Before flight, an aircraft commander must study the appropriate reports and forecasts for the route and determine whether instrument meteorological conditions, IMC, are likely to prevail at any point. An aircraft which is unable to communicate by radio with an air traffic control unit at the aerodrome of destination shall not begin a flight to an aerodrome within a control zone if the information, which is reasonably practical for the pilot to obtain, indicates that it will arrive at that aerodrome when the ground visibility is less than 10 kilometers, or the cloud ceiling is less than 1,500 feet. Ground visibility is the horizontal visibility at ground level. Cloud ceiling is the height above aerodrome level of the base of the lowest cloud layer obscuring more than half the sky. For the purposes of this rule, a glider and a flying machine towing it are considered to be a single flying machine under the command of the commander of the towing machine. An aircraft must not fly in proximity to other aircraft so as to create a danger of collision. Aircraft must not fly in formation unless the commanders have agreed to do so. An aircraft with right-of-way shall maintain its course and speed. An aircraft which is obliged to give way to another aircraft must avoid passing over, under, or crossing ahead unless well clear of it. Regardless of any air traffic control unit clearance, it is the duty of the commander of an aircraft to take all possible measures to ensure that he does not collide with any other aircraft. Power-driven flying machines must give way to airships, gliders, and balloons. Airships must give way to gliders and balloons. Gliders must give way to balloons. Subject to them being in the same class, that is either two powered aircraft or two airships or two gliders, when two aircraft are converging at about the same altitude, the aircraft which has the other on its right must give way. Powered aircraft must give way to aircraft which are towing. When two aircraft are approaching head-on, or nearly so, and there is a danger of collision, each must turn to its right. Unless otherwise instructed by air traffic control, aircraft must conform to the traffic pattern formed by other aircraft intending to land at that aerodrome, or keep clear of the traffic pattern. All turns should be made to the left, unless ground signals indicate otherwise. Aircraft landing, or on final approach, have right-of-way over others in flight or on the surface. When two or more aircraft are approaching any place for landing, the lower aircraft has the right-of-way, unless air traffic control has already specified a landing order, or the other or one of the other aircraft is making an emergency landing. Aerobatics are not allowed over a congested area. Remember, A congested area in relation to a city, town, or settlement means any area which is substantially used for residential, industrial, commercial, or recreational purposes. An aircraft flying in sight of the ground and following a road, railway, canal, coast, or other line feature must keep that feature on its left, unless instructed to do otherwise by air traffic control. If an aircraft is expected at an aerodrome, the commander must inform the authorities at the aerodrome as soon as possible if the destination is changed or arrival will be delayed by 45 minutes or more. This is to avoid any unnecessary overdue action being carried out. Whenever possible, an aircraft commander must report upon arrival and prior to departure to the appropriate authority at an aerodrome. Flight in Class A airspace must be conducted under Instrument Flight Rules, IFR, and the pilot in command must hold an instrument rating. Special Visual Flight Rules, SVFR, may be available at any time in a control zone that is Class A airspace. Flights may be conducted under VFR or IFR, subject to Rule 21, and as conditions allow. In controlled airspace in IMC and at night, all flights must be made under IFR, except in a control zone when SVFR may be available. A pilot may elect to fly IFR even though the weather is VMC. Except in Classes A and B airspace and Class C under IFR, an aircraft shall not fly below 10,000 feet at a speed greater than 250 knots, unless cleared. When in Class G airspace, known as the open FIR, during daylight, pilots may fly VFR provided they meet the greater of the Class G minima or their PPL privileges. The minima are, when above 3,000 feet, 5 km visibility and clear of cloud by 1,500 meters horizontally and 1,000 feet vertically, and when below 3,000 feet, clear of cloud and in sight of the surface with an in-flight visibility of 5 km or 3 km if the indicated airspeed is less than 140 knots. The minima for Class F airspace are the same as for Class G, but pilots are advised to avoid advisory routes or areas unless participating in the advisory service.